Such a narrow path where they capture the sound, you have to be perpendicular to it. I'll pray for us. I'll pray for us. God, thank you so much for bringing us all back together this morning. The week before this week is all over the place this week, and I just pray that this is never something that we feel like is on our to-do list as a check box or something we feel obligated to do. I pray this is something that we genuinely need and look forward to and are excited to do and honored to do. And I thank you so much for the four of us that are here. I thank you that we get the chance to use our abilities to worship you. Even on the week life is more chaotic, I know that as long as we are authentic in our worship, it's music to your ears. So I pray that we focus on that this morning. We don't focus on the mistakes we feel like we're making as musicians, but we just focus on the joy of being able to praise you in this way. I pray that the people who have come to the service this morning can use this time of worship to grow closer to you, give you anything that may be heavy on your hearts, just to praise you. We thank you so much. We're excited to worship your name. Thank you to look at you. I pray for our music. I pray that you keep us together, but most of all, I just thank you that we get to do this in this place. And I pray that you give us peace and rest. Be with us as we go throughout the week. I just see that Neil has safe travels, and we will be the best on that night. Ryan, keep me praying as we live in further. And myself, that we both just have endurance to keep doing what is set in our past at this time in life. Amen.
Check.
Church, we're so happy that you're here with us this morning. I invite you to stand and join us as we open worship. Worthy of every breath
This week I was arguing with one of my friends about what you view as like the first day of the week versus the last day of the week. So to her, she sees the first day of the week as Monday, meaning that Sunday happens at the end of the week. Like in her brain, that's just how she pictures it. To me, I always picture Sunday as the beginning of the week. And so when I picked this next song, The Goodness of Jesus, this is a new one I think we started doing sometime last fall, but Kyrie likes this one. No, I think it's so interesting to think about, what we view Sunday as. I think we come in to church sometimes after a long week. We've still kind of got all the distractions of all the craziness that's happened during the week on our brains. And I know, like, for us up here, sometimes it's hard to just center ourselves and put all that aside. And so it's nice that we get to practice because we get the time to kind of just meditate on the week and put those things back. But I don't know, sometimes I like thinking of Sunday as, like, the beginning of the week. And so kind of pictured in my head as, like, waking up in the morning. And it's nice because I drive to work, and so one of the first things I do is I'll listen to songs in the car. So I try and start my day off with worship if I can. And I think Sunday is just kind of an extension of that. And so this is one of the songs I play in the car in the mornings on the way to church. And so if you're needing something to listen to or are trying to think of a way to reframe your day, I recommend worship songs in the morning. But anyway, this is a good song to play on a Sunday too. So this is The Goodness of Jesus.
morning, everyone. How are we doing today? Welcome. Thanks for being here with us. I know it started out a little chilly this morning, but luckily we made it through that really bitter cold snap, so warmer weather is on its way. But I appreciate you being here with us today. A special welcome to anyone who's worshiping with us for the first time. And if I could get you guys to fill out those little yellow cards that are in the back of your pew rack, you'll see there. Check in with us. I appreciate that. If it's your first time worshiping with us, especially please fill those out because we make a $5 donation to Crosslines when you do. Also, if you're worshiping with us for the first time, please meet Pastor Brian at the little island out there. We'll have a special gift to say thanks for worshiping today. And we also can't forget our online friends. Let's take a minute to wave to them. Good morning, online friends. Thanks for being with us this morning. And also, if you're worshiping with us there, you can feel free to check in as well. As we prepare to greet each other this morning, I know there's going to be a lot of, yucky viruses and flus and stuff that are going around. So if you don't feel like shaking hands, that's okay. There's a number of other ways that we can greet each other. We can wave, we can fist bump, elbow bump, we can do the Chinese greeting. But let's go ahead and prepare to greet each other this morning and say thanks for being here.
Good morning.
It's real cold, they'll die up there.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sweating. Hey. Oh, of course not. Or actually, I would do it right now. I'm just gonna do it right now. Oh, today she's 4 months? Oh, okay.
Okay, as we're greeting each other, Eden just told me that today baby Grace is 4 months old, so happy 4 months to her. And also, Brandon Himes had a birthday on Friday. So happy birthday to Brandon. I think we should sing to Brandon, if you guys don't mind. I think Brandon Himes might need a birthday song, so if you'll join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brandon. Happy birthday to you.
At this time, parents and guardians who would like for their children to go to kids' worship time can have kids go to the back of the room there where they've got the volunteers there to meet them there. Or kids are welcome to use the kids' corner over here, and that's fine too. So kids can go to kids' worship time. Before our offering focus for the day, I want to talk a little bit more about online too, because there is a schedule change for next Sunday only, but online needs to be aware of it as well. So Zella, I've put that very boring black and white PowerPoint in there. If you'd click that first slide there for me. Is that there? I think it says 2.2, something like that. There we go. This one's boring, but informative. Next Sunday, I hope that you come at 10:15, not 11:15. Because you come at 11:15, you can enjoy the chili cook-off, but you will have completely missed worship and communion. We have one blended worship time next Sunday. Now, regular schedule resumes on the 9th, but next Sunday, February 2nd, one worship time at 10:15 with everybody together. That is true for online as well. There will be one online broadcast at 10:15. And so mark your calendar so you make a note of that. Next point, communion will be offered, and we're going to take it all together, so that's pretty special. Next up. The chili cook-off is next week. Yeah, Al's excited about that. I'm excited about that. Ryan's going to tell you more about that in a moment. Today's the day to sign up if you haven't already, if you want to bring chili. Now, I know somebody asked me, hey, could I just make potato soup instead? Sure, okay? Hot, delicious, crock pot, whatever, that's fine. And it would be really funny if potato soup won the chili cook-off, but it could happen. So, and lastly, there are no classes because 10:15 is the normal class hour, okay? So worship is happening at 10:15 instead of classes. The nursery will be open, though. So we want to make sure everybody gets that schedule note. Next slide. If you are online often or always, we will send you a hymnal on request. Now, I know this particular service doesn't use them often, but we do sometimes. If you're online, we've got a lot of these, and we would be happy to make sure you have one at home. So you can participate in anything that we do out of the book that's not on the screens, which occasionally happens. Next up, if you are in the Monette area, every other month I would be happy to do a communion visit at your home or your resident facility, wherever that may be. I love doing that. We're happy to provide that to you. So simply request that, and you can have communion brought to you where you are. Next up, please, 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 if you're watching online, check in with us each time. Otherwise, we have folks watching online, and we have no idea who they are or that they were even there. All we get is a number count, okay? So if you're online, so important, because this is the one way we have to keep in touch with you if we're not in person together, is to complete that check-in. And if that is too much trouble for you, just comment on Facebook, YouTube. We'll know you were there. And next on that one, if you are online, or if you're homebound especially, you can still volunteer. You can still engage in ministry with the card ministry. And there are folks who are online only who do that. And they write birthday cards, and they write get well cards. And it's really fun, especially for our teenagers and younger kids, to get a handwritten card in the mail, because who does that anymore, right? Like, Simon really enjoyed getting his birthday card in the mail because we don't get a whole lot of those. So that is one way that you can be engaged, and we provide the cards, addresses, and postage if you want to do that. Okay, let's go to the next one. For folks who are not in the Monette area, and I know we have a number of folks who are with us online, but you don't live near Monette, for connection, for care, for communion, I would like to connect you with a pastor in a church near where you live. I think that's really important. Not long ago, Ron Wormington got out of the hospital, and I want to thank every volunteer who signed up to bring meals to him, and he was very appreciative for that. If you're not in the Monette area and you're in that situation, we can't have people deliver meals to you. And that's just one time when it's important to have a church family nearby. So I would like to connect you with one. Email me, and I will send back some suggestions of people to reach out to, pastors to reach out to in your area. Next up. These are good reasons people attend online, and I know there are many. You're traveling, you are ill or immunocompromised, like you can't get sick. We get that. You're a homebound person, you're a caregiver or support person, you have significant social anxiety, you have significant allergies. For some people, a certain perfume or a certain detergent scent, big headache. We get that. You work on Sunday mornings, or this may have happened to you recently, roads in town are fine, your road is not. We get that, okay? But if none of these reasons apply to you, then I want you to ask again, why am I online? Let's go to the next slide. If you have the ability to do so, it's time to attend worship in person. And there is no better time to do that than next Sunday, because you will see everybody all together. We will take communion together. You get to be part of the chili cook-off. Come in person if at all possible. We miss seeing you. We miss seeing folks who have been online. And I realize some need to be online, but if you can come in person, do. Next up, we will continue to offer online worship. I know that we've gotten far enough from the pandemic now that some people, even some churches, I read about a big one in Nashville, said we're not doing online anymore. This church is going to continue to offer online worship. We feel like that is an important part of ministry, and it's better than no worship at all. Okay, so let me illustrate that with this last point here. Picture eating a freshly cooked meal with friends versus eating a TV dinner alone. Now, a TV dinner will keep you from starving, okay? It will nourish you for the time being. Is it good? Yeah, it'll do, okay? But a steady diet of TV dinners is not the best. If at all possible, come be with your church family. Have a freshly cooked meal with friends. And like I said before, there are some who just can't, and we know that, and we will bring communion to you. But if you can, don't settle for a TV dinner. come be with your church family. And there's some exciting things coming up, not the least of which is Chili Cook-Off. And so for our offering focus, and let's put up that giving slide there, I do want you to take a look at that bulletin today because you're going to see end-of-year numbers there. Pretty cool, church, so you check that out, but I'll let those speak for themselves. Ryan's going to tell you about another thing your giving goes towards, which is this summer's mission trip.
All right, so as we have our 5 ways to give slide that we put up, first I just want to say thank you all for the generosity that you guys have. You are a giving, generous church, and we could not accomplish most of what we do without that. So I thank you for that. Now, for the exciting part, I've had some people ask me about this, and we are going to make the summer mission trip announcement. We are going to be going to Arlington, Texas this summer. Yeah, it's going to be June 30th through July 5th. We're going to leave on June 30th, and we're going to come back the 5th. We're going to be working with Mission Arlington, and what that's going to encompass is basically each day they're going to have selected projects for us to do, so each day will be kind of different, and they'll brief us while we're there what we're going to be doing. And those can range from anything from food distribution to working in a thrift store, helping out. So it's just kind of whatever tasks they have on hand at the time that they're going to give us for our group. The other thing is we're going to be working with them for a few days. And then July 4th, since we're going to be down in Arlington, and apparently this is a big deal for them, and the city kind of shuts down, and it's just crazy, we're going to take that as a free day, and we're going to kind of have a fun day. So we're going to see the city, we're going to enjoy the 4th. There may be a trip to Six Flags planned in there. There may be a Rangers game planned in there. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, if you're interested, if you've never been, it's okay. We can definitely use whatever skills you come with. All we need is just a happy heart that's willing to come with us. And please come with us if you feel so inclined and available. We really appreciate having you down there with us. Now the question is what does this cost? Well, we need to know who's going by March 31st. That's the hard deadline. We have to know who's going. And we do have limited availability and space on this. So the early bird gets the worm here. For students, the deposit that we need is going to be $30 for the first 12. After that, the deposit is going to go up to $60 for other students. For adults who want to go, the deposit is going to be $40 for the first 5 adults, and after that, it's going to go up to $80. Again, early bird gets the worm here. Another thing to mention is if you're planning to go with us, we will need you to get Safe Gatherings if you don't already have it as an adult, which is not a huge deal. If you're curious about what that entails and you'd like to do that, you can see myself, Lacey, Pastor Brian. We can go ahead and help you with that process. But that's going to be the trip that we're going to be taking this summer. And hopefully we see a bunch of people that are excited and would like to go with us, and we hope to see you guys there. The other thing that I would like to highlight is the fact that a lot of the cost is being covered by the fundraisers that we do. And again, because you guys are a giving church. You know, we all remember Fall Fest that we had this past fall. Aside from getting to witness your whole ministry team get hit in the face with pies, which was fun. We also raised a lot of money for the summer mission team, and that's because of all of you. So thank you for everything you guys did to make that a success. We also, as Pastor Brian talked about, we have the Chili Cook-Off coming up on the 2nd. Please don't miss that. And Dan Vincent Davis, who was last year's winner, I'm sure this was a bittersweet and hard thing for him to give up. He brought in the trophy that will be given to this year's winner. Ooh, ah, yes, thank you, yeah. Ooh, ah. Yes, the coveted Chili Cook-Off trophy is back on the line. I know me personally, I will be ranking them based on appearance, heat intensity, and of course the size of the bowl. Just kidding, just kidding. But yeah, so that'll be exciting. If you guys are still interested in getting in on that, I know we have the sign-up sheet out there, so if you want to bring a chili or soup or stew or something like that, please feel free. There's a lot of great stuff that's going to be happening. It's going to be a wonderful time and fellowship with our church. So again, thank you guys for everything you do, and we really hope to see you guys. And on that note, if we can kind of quiet ourselves and still ourselves for a time of prayer.
going to ask you to stand if you are able as God's word is read.
Today's reading is from the Gospel according to Luke chapter 4, verses 14 through 21. Jesus returned into the power of the Spirit into Galilee. A report concerning him went out through all the surrounding country, and he taught in their synagogues, being glorified by all. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and he went to the synagogue, as his custom was, on the Sabbath day. And he stood up to read. And there was given to him the book of the prophet Isaiah. He opened the book and found the place where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release into the captives, and recovering of the sight of the blind, to set liberty to those who were oppressed, to proclaim the acceptable year of our Lord." And he closed the book and gave it back to the attendant and sat down. And all the eyes of the synagogue were fixed upon him. And he began to say to all, "Today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing." This is the reading of God's word.
You may be seated. A small personal note before we dive in. These flowers are here because Annie and I have been married 17 years today. Yep. So, yellow, blue, and green were our wedding colors. So that's something we still enjoy. Yes, I knew that. I was seeing if you knew that. So, good job. Anyway, we are in a series of asking questions. That's what Alpha is all about, which we do on Wednesday nights here. And if you have not been to Alpha yet, that's okay. You can jump in this week because every Alpha session is standalone. If you came this week for the first time, it's not like you'd be out of the loop or wondering what's going on, or people would be talking about a whole bunch of stuff that you didn't see and wouldn't get. Every one is its own self-contained session. So if you haven't been to Alpha yet, or if you had to miss one, consider coming back this week or trying it out for the first time. And there's a delicious dinner beforehand every week. So good. This week's Alpha question, how can I have faith? And that can be a big challenge. As evidenced by this recent survey of American adults. Let's put that up there. 2022 is the year of this one. It's a little old, but not that old. Excuse me. All right. The highest response given, the top line there, is I believe most of the time. I do have some doubts, but I believe. Second highest line, I believe in a higher power. Absolutely. Then agnostic, I don't know. Atheist, I do not believe in any higher power. And then the lowest response there was, sometimes I believe, I'm not really sure. And so you might look at that, and you see the line for atheist, and I'm sorry, I have no idea what color that line is, but it's going up there, and you're thinking, wow, more people are becoming atheists. What's up with that? Well, I think that sometimes atheist is mislabeled, and sometimes people classify themselves that way, but if you really talk to them, they may not. But it's also true that atheists have been kind of put in a box and said, nobody can really be an atheist. There's an old quote, "There are no atheists in foxholes." Basically meaning when someone is confronted with a life-threatening situation, everybody starts praying to some kind of higher power. And I'm not sure that's really fair. And so I like this quote from Kurt Vonnegut, who I enjoy reading. Oh, it's back up. "People say there are no atheists in foxholes, and a lot of people think this is a good argument against atheism. Personally, I think it's a much better argument against foxholes. War is bad, period. Okay, it should be avoided at all costs. And the idea, when we're talking about faith, is not that you're scared into faith or that you somehow embrace God because you're just afraid of what the alternative might be. Now, sometimes people do embrace faith because of a very challenging or even urgent or threatening situation. But let's remember, folks, that Jesus is talking about good news. And our goal is never to scare people into making some kind of a faith decision. That's not the idea. Let's look at what Jesus said. And this was read a moment ago. We're going to revisit some of these verses that Lily read for us. Verse 14, Jesus returned to Galilee in the power of the Spirit, and news about him spread through the whole countryside. He was a big deal. People were talking about him, which makes it very interesting, and we discussed this a couple weeks ago, that some people think that Jesus never actually even existed. Well, here's what a smart guy has to say about that. Bart Ehrman, not a Christian, by the way, not at all. I think the evidence is so overwhelming that Jesus existed. It's silly to talk about him not existing. I don't know anyone who's a responsible historian who is actually trained in the historical method, or anybody who's a biblical scholar and does this for a living, who gives any credence at all to any of this. Basically saying Jesus absolutely is a historic figure. Every bit as much as Abraham Lincoln is. Okay? He lived, he walked the earth, he died. There's widespread agreement about that amongst people who know these things. Beyond being a historic figure like Abraham Lincoln, let's remember this too, put up there. Most religions acknowledge Jesus as a religious authority. Even ones that aren't Christian consider him a great prophet, an excellent moral teacher, someone to be emulated. They may not agree that he's the Son of God, but he is acknowledged by them, which shows even more he's a big deal. This is important. This is something. And so we should consider what others say about Jesus, but especially, let's go to the next slide, what eyewitnesses said about Jesus. What did they say about him? Well, verse 15, let's put up here. He taught in their synagogues, and everyone praised him. People realized this guy is more than just a rabbi. He teaches with authority. He does things that no one else has done or can do. And you might be saying, well, having a crowd praise you for religious teaching doesn't necessarily mean that I should have faith. And this is something Ryan and I were talking about this week, and this came from one of our students. Students are also doing Alpha, by the way. And one of them said, how would people know that Jesus wasn't just some cult leader or somebody trying to just make people follow him, but it was all him and nothing to do with God? That is a legit question. How do we determine Jesus' difference from this person, for example? Who's that? Do you know? Jim Jones. Jim Jones was ordained. He wanted to be a Methodist, and the United Methodist Church Board of Ministry said, nope. So he went to a different denomination and got ordained and began a church that grew, and and people listened to him and people praised him, and he even convinced all of them to move to South America, where he led them in committing mass suicide. Horrible tragedy. How can we distinguish Jesus from someone like this? And some people, because of folks like Jim Jones, are skeptical of having faith in anybody or any religion. You might know someone like that. But let's look again at Jesus. What's the difference here? Let's put that on the screen. Why Jesus was not a cult leader. Jesus didn't try to control people or isolate people from key relationships. That's what cults do. That is not what Jesus did. When Jesus talked about leaving family to follow him, you need to read very carefully that in the next chapter, when Peter's mother-in-law was sick, he went and cared for her, and Jesus came and healed her. Jesus never said, you can't talk to your mother-in-law ever again. That's not how he operated. Jesus didn't isolate people. He didn't control or manipulate people. Let's look at the next point. Jesus didn't gain anything from his ministry. He didn't get lots of wealth and possessions and fancy house. He didn't have any of that. In fact, his ministry cost him everything, including his life. It was not a very productive ministry in terms of the world's standards. That's why he wasn't a cult leader. Let's look at the next point. Jesus brought only healing in life. Whenever he interacted with someone, touched someone, talked to someone, it was life-giving. It was healing. It was affirming them as God's creation in God's image. So we could see that Jesus was very, very different from a figure like Jim Jones or any other cult leader. You might be saying, okay, but still, why should I trust him? Well, let's look at something else Jesus said. And he was quoting Isaiah here, written long before Jesus walked the earth. And then Jesus chose this passage to read in the synagogue. The Spirit of the Lord is on me because he's anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners, recovery of sight for the blind, to release the oppressed. He closed the book, gave it to the attendant, sat down, and then got up to teach. And this is what really floored people, what he said next. Let's put that on the screen. He began by saying to them, "Today the scripture is fulfilled in your hearing." What? He just read about the Messiah in Isaiah, and he says, now it's fulfilled, the time has come. Basically, I am the Messiah. And people might hear that, and they might think, this guy's a kook. This guy just doesn't know what's going on. And people did that even. Some of them said, isn't this the son of Joseph the carpenter? How is he claiming to be the Messiah? People reacted that way. But it's important that when we're thinking about how can I have faith and who is this Jesus, we need to look at what he said about himself. And so I've put this graphic up here. I did not create this. But these are all things that Jesus said about himself. I am the way, the truth, the life, the resurrection, the first and the last. That's Alpha and Omega. The true vine, the good shepherd, the door of the sheep, the light of the world, the bread of life. And most importantly, I am, which in Hebrew is Yahweh. He said, I am God. Wow. And so if we're asking, how can I have faith? You need to consider, this is the second fill-in for students taking notes. Remember, you get a mission trip point for sermon notes. Consider what Jesus says about Jesus. And I love this quote by Rachel Held Evans. And if you or someone you love is kind of struggling with faith, read Rachel Held Evans. Okay, she's deceased now. But she grew up the daughter of a seminary professor, was taught Bible backwards and forwards from a young age, was in the church every Sunday, but then got into her 20-something years and really began to wrestle with and question some of the stuff that she had accepted about faith growing up. But what's interesting about Rachel Held Evans is even though she wrestled with those things, she did not let go of faith in Jesus. In fact, this is what she had to say. I am a Christian, I concluded, because the story of Jesus is still the story I'm willing to risk being wrong about. Now, she's not saying that the story of Jesus is wrong. But what she's saying is, if it turns out someday that Christianity wasn't actually true, okay, that's a risk I'm willing to take. I'm going to jump in with both feet. She said, this faith is worth embracing no matter what. That's her meaning. So another great Christian writer who I want to put in front of you, and you've probably seen this before, C.S. Lewis, had this to say. A man who was merely a man and said the sort of things Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would be either a lunatic on a level with a man who says he is a poached egg, or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else he's a madman or something worse. So you can shut him up for a fool, you could spit at him and kill him as a demon, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let's not come to any patronizing nonsense about his being a great human teacher. He has not left that open to us. C.S. Lewis's argument is that a lot of people will say, well, Jesus was a great moral teacher. And he's saying, would a great moral teacher lie to people and tell them he was God? That's not very moral. Or even worse, would a great moral teacher just be totally off his rocker and say all kinds of crazy things all the time? No, that would not be a great moral teacher. And so to put it more succinctly, here's C.S. Lewis's question, who's Jesus to you, liar, lunatic, or Lord? Kind of have to choose one of those options. But everybody comes to faith in a different way. And a big reason this is an alpha question is we'll put this in front of you, but we're not going to tell you what to think. And if you come to alpha, what you have to say or what you have to share is just as important as anybody else. And it's a place to explore these things. Ask questions, wrestle with stuff, hear what other people think. And everybody's faith story is different. Some people have the faith story of growing up and you did not have any faith in your life. Like Jesus maybe was a historic figure to you, but that's about it. And you may have grown up without Jesus. And then all of a sudden, people can point to this turnaround moment where I had this huge change in my life, and I can name the day and the place where I said, I believe in Jesus. Some people, that's their story, but some people it's not. Some people, their story's more like this. I can't remember a time when I didn't have Jesus in my life. I was raised to know him, and I've always known Jesus. And I can think of times when I really chose to follow him, but there's never been a time I didn't believe. Maybe that's your story. Or, for some people, their story is just more gradual. They started out not having any faith, but over time, looking back, they realized, but I do believe. I do think this is true. And they can't point to any one moment or place where that occurred. But they know it's true now. And it's different from before. That is also a valid faith story. So some people think, well, because my testimony isn't one of these ones where there was this huge 180 moment all of a sudden, that my faith's not real. But that's simply not true. People come to faith in different ways. And maybe you're not there yet, and that's okay. If you're wrestling with it, keep going. But if you are there, and if you have said, I believe in Jesus, that's good and well, but let me tell you, the book of James says, demons also believe Jesus is the Son of God. Simple belief ain't going to get you much. The big question, and what hopefully distinguishes you from the demons who believe, is this. Let's put that up there. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about your faith? Because real faith, again quoting James, is proved by our actions. So if you're thinking about, hey, we're in a new year, maybe you didn't make the January 1st new resolution, but any time is a good time to start a new habit or grow your faith in a new way. I'm going to put in front of you some ideas of what you can do about it. These are not my ideas. These are John Wesley's ideas. Okay, and on the left side, we have works of piety. And piety is an old churchy word, but it basically means personal faith, growing your individual faith. And so reading, meditating, studying the scriptures is one. If you didn't get to do the Bible recap last year, or you got partway through and kind of stopped, or you did it and you want to do it again, there's a group that meets on the other side of the gym right before this worship service happens that's doing it, or you can come Monday nights. Monday nights at 6:30 in the chapel right by those glass entry doors. There's a group doing the Bible recap that's starting over from the beginning. I'd recommend that to you. Praying, fasting. We're coming up on a season called Lent. It begins March 5th this year. It's a time when you make a change somehow. Fasting doesn't have to be related to food or drink, though it can, but it's taking something out of your life and making a change for 40 days to help you focus on Jesus. Last year, mine was, I'm only going to listen to either silence or Christian radio in the car. That's all. And that actually really helped me with getting some new worship songs into my memory so that the Spirit could call those up when I needed to think about what they meant. Attending worship, we talked about that a moment ago, whether in person or online. Living healthily, sharing your faith with others. That could be as simple as inviting someone to come to Alpha with you. Works of mercy, on the other hand, are like growing faith together or in society. And so they include doing good works, visiting the sick, and we do have people who volunteer from this church to go to the hospital. In fact, I talked to someone earlier today who said, I'd like to be a hospital care volunteer. You don't have to be a pastor to do that, and I will be happy to train you if you want to be a volunteer who goes to visit people at Cox Monette. Visiting those in prison. We don't have any prisons in our area, but we do have county jails. So there may be a ministry there that God's put on your heart. Feeding the hungry. This church is really, really good at that. In fact, if this church ever changed the name, I think that we should call ourselves the church that feeds people. I mean, that's it right there. You're really, really good at that. And giving generously to the needs of others. And here I'm going to call out and shout out El Macias. Their building in Marshall Hill, they opened it again this last week so people wouldn't freeze to death overnight. And they had free, safe, warm overnight shelter for people. And there were folks who took advantage of that when it was so cold. And El Macias knows that's going to be a bigger utility bill. And it's going to require, more hospitality and also more vigilance with security, and they did all of that. And they're happy to do it again. So Sabrina and Danny and Cecilia and their other leaders, I want to shout out to them. That's what Jesus would do. And I'm really glad that we are a church family with them, and I'm proud of them. So as you look at this list, how can I have faith? Well, here's some examples. What about you? As we sing our closing worship today, I'm so glad Maddie chose these songs. You know, Maddie and I don't typically talk about song choices ahead of time, but I think it's so cool, like Holy Spirit works, and these are the songs we needed to sing. The first one reminds us of what we can be thankful of that God has done for us through Jesus. And then lastly, we remember that the most important thing about Jesus was not necessarily that he was a historical figure, though he was, not necessarily that he taught in the synagogue and performed miracles, though he did, and not even that he died, although that's absolutely true, that he didn't stay dead. And that's not the end of the story. That's how we can have faith, and that conversation will continue. You're invited to worship however you like. You could come pray at the rails. You can come receive prayer up front if you like. I'll be over there by the American flag. I'd be happy to pray with you about anything you want prayer for. I invite you to stand if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. Let's continue worship.
Oh, my words fall short. I got 'Cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, but I've nothing else fit for a king except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. We're going to continue in worship. Alone in my soul, dead in my sin, lost without hope, no place to begin. Your love made a way to let mercy come in. When death was arrested, my life began. Ash was redeemed, only beauty remains. My orphan heart was given a name. My mourning grew quiet, my feet rose to dance. When death was arrested, my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's a wondrous love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Released from my chains, I'm a prisoner no more. My shame was a ransom he paid for a He canceled my debt, he called me his friend. When death was arrested, my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's a wondrous love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Our Savior displayed on a criminal's cross. Darkness rejoiced as though heaven had lost. But then Jesus arose with our freedom in hand. That's when death was arrested, my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins.
I'm going to read from Hebrews 11 from the NET Bible. Now, faith is being sure of what we hope for, being convinced of what we do not see. For it is by the people of old received God's condemnation. By faith we understand that the worlds were set in order at God's command, so that the invisible has its origin in the invisible. Have a great week, guys. Go Chiefs.